It's a warm, balmy day here in Daytona Beach, Florida, as a sellout, record-breaking crowd of over 110,000 Speedway for the running of this 17th annual Daytona 500. They passed out bumper stickers down here that state, if you want to race, Daytona is the place. And it certainly is true. This entire Speed Week has filled this small Florida town with an electricity like we've never seen before. Each year, the Speedway plays host to some of the most glamorous names in racing. And, needless to say, the fastest late model stock cars in the world. Cale Yarborough still holds the one-lap record here when he qualified for the race back in 1970 at a speed of 194.015 miles per hour. However, Richard Petty has won this Daytona 500 5 times, and he's an automatic favorite. But regardless of all the statistics, there's 40 cars and drivers going out on the track right now to run for the biggest purse in the Speedway's history. Donnie Allison had the quickest time of 185.827 and starts on the pole in the Dygaard Chevy number 88. The Purolator Percolator, number 21, starts alongside with David Pearson aboard. 16, Bobby Allison holds down the third spot in the Coca-Cola Matador. Starting fourth in the number 43 Dodge is Richard Petty. In the third row, it's number 90, Dick Brooks, driving the Truxmore Ford. And 11, Cale Yarborough in the Valvoline Chevrolet. It's just a few minutes past 1 o'clock when the magic moment arrives and this spectacular 40-car field explodes under the green flag, and the race is on. In turn 2, pole sitter Donnie Allison breaks loose to grab the lead, but Pearson, Bobby Allison, Petty, and Yarborough will never let him get out of sight. Down the back chute, Petty moves up to 2, Yarborough is 3. On the tri-oval, and they're wound up at the end of the first lap. It's Allison, Petty, Yarborough, Pearson, and Foyt. Watch AJ. He's already moved from 9th to 5th in just 1 lap. Into turn 3, Richard and Cale both take the high groove to move around Donnie Allison and take over first and second place. At the end of the second lap, Foyt and Pearson are having a screaming battle for the 4th spot. Richard Petty roars out of the deuce turn. He's out in front, and this has become a very familiar sight here at Daytona. Here's another Daytona Express with Petty, Yarborough, Allison, Pearson, and Foyt averaging over 186 miles per hour. Look out, third turn. Vandiver is out of control. It's mayhem on lap 5, and the yellow flies. It all started in the third turn when Jim Vandiver in number 99 lost it down low, careened up the bank, hitting number 75, Dick Trickle. He spun off and then got T-boned broadside by number 60, driven by Joe Mahalik. After that, cars flew in all directions. One car after another completely demolished. 42, Marty Robbins, Warren Tope, Grant Adcox, Dan Daughtry, Bruce Hill, and J.D. McDuffie. With the 4th turn covered with oil, the cleanup crews go out on the track. The accident claimed 10 cars. The only driver injured was J.D. McDuffie, who suffered a broken breastbone. With the track cleaned up and all wrecked cars towed off, Petty leads the field out of the fourth turn for the green flag. The restart is underway. Down the back chute, Richard lets it all hang out and tries to stretch his lead. But now, A.J. Foyt is running second, and he's determined to test Petty's dodge. On the last lap, Cale Yarborough lost speed down the backstretch. Now he pits, and Junior Johnson and the crew give him new tires and fuel. It's a quick one. Entering the fourth turn, A.J. Foyt does it. The torrent Texan whips underneath Petty, and now he owns the lead. Foyt is running strong in the Gilmore Chevy number 28, prepared by Hoss Ellington, and driven now by perhaps the most competitive man in the history of the sport. But Daytona is Richard Petty's playground, and he works A.J. over on every turn of the racetrack. While Foyt and Petty share the spotlight on the stage of the arena, there's an equally spectacular battle behind the scenes with the clock. Two cars are behind pit wall. Number 30 driven by Walter Ballard and 90 driven by Dick Brooks. A complete engine change in Ballard's Chevy and a water pump changed in Brooks' Ford. And both cars will return to the race. In the second turn, Petty pours it on and whips the Charger number 43 around Foyt to regain his lead. On the 46th lap, Johnny Rutherford hits a slick in the fourth turn, loses it, and spins out. He's all right, but the second yellow flag of the day is out. Now, a lot of drivers will have the same idea about fuel and rubber swap. Watch that pit row. It's your chance for a close-up of some of the fastest crews in racing. After an average of about 20 seconds per car, everybody is out, and so is the green. Now, A.J. Foyt has the lead with Petty second. But there's a blue and white Ford, number 15, running third and closing on both of them. It's driven by Buddy Baker, and there's no doubt in anyone's mind that he came here to race. Down the long backstretch, Petty tries to climb in Foyt's trunk, and Baker is slowly closing the gap. On the 58th lap, Johnny Rutherford pitted for the last time. His crew discovered a leak in the gas tank and pushed the car behind the wall out of the race. Meanwhile, on the back chute, Richard Petty pulls the plug. He fires past Foyt on the low side to once again take over the front spot. Onto the tri-oval, Buddy Baker in number 15 is no longer a distant third. Instead, he's challenging Foyt for second. First turn, Baker drops into the low groove, puts a wheel on the inside of AJ and powers through the hole to take the second spot. Now he has Petty in his sights and begins the charge. Right down the front straight, Buddy Baker does it, and the crowd goes wild. He started 13th, and now he's number 1. David Pearson has the Purolator Mercury number 21 in the third spot now, with Cale Yarborough in the Valvoline Chevy 11 running fourth. Both drivers are pacing themselves well. Foyt has slipped to 5th position. This pit stop is the beginning of Petty's problems. His engine is overheating due to a fouled-up radiator, and this stop gives Buddy Baker a commanding lead, and he's all but flying. Baker is pulling away from everything on the track, including David Pearson, who now owns the number 2 spot. Number 11, Cale Yarborough, is third, just 38 seconds behind Pearson. Suddenly, the crowd is up. Buddy Baker, who's been setting a blistering pace, drops onto the 4th turn apron and heads for the pits. Buddy's been losing power and running considerably slower for the past 2 laps. When he pits, the crew finds ignition problems, and that's all it takes to put the Ford behind the wall and Baker out of the race. He climbs out of the car just in time to see Davy Pearson streak by to take over the lead. Out of his long list of super speedway wins, David has never won the Daytona 500, and he wants it bad. Number 90, Dick Brooks, gets a little squirrely through the turn, but he stays out of trouble as Pearson streaks by. On the 164th lap, Cale Yarborough pits his Chevy for rubber and fuel. It's a lengthy stop and puts him down a lap. Junior Johnson and the crew also find out he's only running on 7 holes. He may run a little slower, but Cale is the kind of a guy that'll charge as long as he has wheels under him. Uh-oh, the third caution flag of the day flies when Cuckoo Marlin blows the engine in his number 14 Chevy through the first turn. The cleanup crews head for the track, and the lead cars head for the pits. Pearson and Parsons are in together, and right now they're the only 2 cars running in the same lap. On the restart, Pearson has the lead. Benny Parsons in number 72 is second. The green is out, and they're off. Pearson leads him down the back chute, and Benny Parsons drops into the low groove to fire past Petty and Yarborough. He's trying every trick in the book to close the gap on the leader. David Pearson has that big Mercury all wound out now in an all-out effort to stretch Parsons and the rest of the pack. Down that fast back straight, here he comes. Benny Parsons finds daylight on the inside of Pearson and drives through to take the lead. But David has been in 100 of these duels, and he's not about to let Benny Parsons run away. Down the front chute, Parsons low, Pearson high, and Petty in the pocket. Down the backstretch, Pearson hangs it all out. He and Richard both charge underneath Benny, and now the red and white number 21 is back in front. On the 185th lap, Petty pitted again. He's been plagued with a hot engine all day. After they cool it down, he runs very strong, but due to many pit stops, he's several laps behind the leaders. Meanwhile, on the track, Pearson gets his Mercury into the draft of number 28, driven by A.J. Foyt. Because two cars in the same draft travel faster than one car by itself, Pearson is beginning to stretch second-place Benny Parsons. Now, Richard Petty is back on the track, and he gives the wave to Parsons to latch on. Benny quickly tucks his car into Petty's draft, and together, they're really moving. Uh-oh, with only 6 laps to go, Foyt drops down low on the apron and heads for the pits with engine failure. Pearson's drafting partner is out of the race. David built up a good lead in AJ's draft, but now, without him, the twosome of Petty and Parsons are closing the gap on Pearson. The crowd goes wild as they watch number 72, Benny Parsons. Can he do it? Pearson and Parsons, both cars flat out, wound out, and running for the wire. Look out! On the back chute, Pearson is loose. Unbelievable! David Pearson, with only 3 laps to go, came up fast behind a slower car. He cut quickly to the outside and just flat lost it. His long spinner all the way down the back straight just handed the lead to Benny Parsons. And right now, this record crowd of over 110,000 are on their feet screaming and waving this white Chevy number 72 on to the win. And I'm sure there's no one at the Speedway more thrilled and surprised than Benny himself. The white flag, one more lap, and Parsons will have the biggest payday he's ever seen. Bobby Allison is running second, Cale Yarborough third. Benny comes down off the high bank 4th turn for the last time today and onto the tri-oval. Right now, he has to be all smiles as he whips under the checkered flag, winner of the richest stock car race in the world, the Daytona 500. The crew of the Kings Row Chevy go wild as they head for Victory Lane to await the arrival of their ex-Detroit cab driver. Daytona International Speedway is famous for cliffhangers, but you'd have to go a long way to match this one. When Benny got out of the car, Victory Lane looked a little like a theater in the round, with every type of emotion on display. The statement we heard him repeat the most was, "I don't believe." But with a bevy of beauties, the Governor's Cup, and a check for over $41,000, you can become a believer in an awful hurry. David Pearson finished fourth and earned about $25,000 less. It was an expensive spin-out. But to Benny Parsons, it meant his day in the sun. And to stock car racing, another new hero.